Well, we start off the new year with a terrorist attack in New Orleans. if uh, if you haven't heard yet, and probably many of you have, somebody drove a truck into a crowd down in New Orleans, killed. It looks like 10 people, wounded a lot of people. You can imagine what a mess that is. We don't know yet who it is, what the background is, so we don't know what the motive is. Not that that's particularly important in our situation here. You're always going to have nutcases. You're always going to have psychos. You're always going to have true believers for one side or another, who are going to be out to do this kind of thing. What we need to think about for just a second is how to prepare for that. And I'll be interested to see. By the way, I don't think I said welcome to Integrative Preparedness. Happy New Year. By the way, the new channel, DoomTube, is a success. I put the first one up last night about midnight, and people are liking it. And before I go on with how to prepare for these kinds of things, if you're not with us on DoomTube, the link's down below in the information box. And the reason that I put that together is so I could tell you all how really bad things could get. I'll probably be talking about this situation over on DoomTube. There are a lot of kind of doomer channels out there that just like to scare people, but they don't really get down into the nitty gritty. I don't think most of them have the experience to understand how bad things could be. So that's why I thought that I would bring it to you. So if you'd like to join us on DoomTube and hear about the real bad stuff the world has out there waiting for you, join us over there. But back to this thing in New Orleans. Um, like I said, we don't know who it is. They haven't released a name. Apparently, they killed him. I guess the situation was he drove his pickup into a crowd, got out, started firing. Whether he was firing at the crowd or whether he was firing at at responding police, I'm not sure. 2 cops got wounded. They're going to be all right. The terrorist is dead. How do you prepare for this? Now, there's going to be some out here that say, or some out there who say, stay out of crowds, stay out of away from these kinds of things. And it may not surprise you to know that I'm going to give you a much different viewpoint and advice. Uh, I'm not going to stay out of crowds. Yeah, crowds can be dangerous, but you know what? I'm not going to stop living my life because now there will be some who don't like crowds, and I'll be honest. Do I like crowds? I don't like crowds, but there are things that I want to go to where guess what? There's a crowd there, right? Last year we went. Well, the year before, I guess it was. We went down to the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. The kids wanted to go, and it really is. It's a neat thing. I mean, there had to be 500,000 people there. Yeah, there was a shooting there. Am I going to tell the kids, no, you can't go there because it's a crowd? Okay. We go down to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra every Christmas. Guess what? There's a crowd. Am I going to tell Kelly and the kid, no, we're not going to go because there's a crowd? Not going to go on a crowd. No. There will be some who don't like crowds, won't go to those, and that's fine for them. That's fine for them. But I'm not going to tell people to stop your lives and stop doing things that you want to do because there's a crowd. Okay, the world can be a dangerous place. It's always dangerous. There's a lot of people get killed in car wrecks on country roads. Okay, there was no crowd, but something happened, or on highways. Uh, these things do happen. There was a cop killed not half a mile from my house here. We live in one of the nicest areas you can imagine, and a cop pulled over a guy, and the guy he wasn't a dirtbag. He was like a stockbroker or something. I don't know, something like that, and. And he pulled him over for I don't know a tag violation, expired tag, something like that. And the guy, I guess he just had a bad day and pulled a gun on the cop, and they killed each other. These things happen. They can happen anywhere. So my suggestion for things like this is be ready and be ready to to defend yourself. Now, part of that is, and this gets into a question that I was going to make a separate video of. I'm probably going to make one just on the Patreon channel for this, because I put most gun stuff on the Patreon channel, and that is, should you carry a gun? Okay. Now, you know, I used to tell everybody should carry a gun. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people out there who should not carry a gun, to be real honest. You should not carry a gun if you don't know what you're doing, or if you aren't ready to accept the responsibility for your own safety and the safety of those around you. But if you are, then you should, because you should always be ready to defend yourself. And could you defend yourself in a situation like what happened in New Orleans? Well, you know, depends. The guys roaring through the crowd. The first step, of course, is to be aware of what's going on. You know, don't get to the point. You can be in a crowd and still be aware. Okay, I haven't been drunk since I was 20 years old. You don't go out there and act like an asshat and just, you know, get drunk and party and life's great. Go out and have a good time, but be aware of what's going on. And if you see a truck coming, you know, or a truck roaring or people screaming, that's when you get up next to or inside a doorway or behind a building or a pole or something like that. You should always have in mind a defensive maneuver in case something happens. You should. It's just, and I know most people don't live a life like that. Some of us do, because we have the experience to do it, and to the extent that you can develop that ability, I'd suggest you do it. But if it comes roaring through, and that truck comes through, and he runs over a bunch of people and he gets out shooting, if you're carrying, you might be able to put a stop to it before the cops get there. You might save some lives. Excuse me. Let me take a drink out of my shot placements with everything mug. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to take a couple of fine young men through my introductory pistol course, and it was a great time. And they were great young men, and they were a pleasure to teach. And afterwards, I explained to them that the world was now a safer place because they were training in firearms. Now, what I mean by that, some of you know I used to teach martial arts. I don't anymore. I got tired of teaching the 2% that wanted to learn and having to deal with the 98% who didn't. But occasionally I would teach. Somebody will come to me, or somebody will hear about me, whatever, you know, and they'll ask me if I will teach them. And so the first thing I do is I sit down and see what kind of person they are. And if I don't like the kind of person they are, I won't teach them. And the second thing is if I kind of like it, like them, I explain to them. I said, now, I have a responsibility for everything that I teach you. You have a responsibility, but I do too, because if you take what I use, or if you use what I give you, what I teach you to hurt people, that comes back on me. And so if I feel that you're that kind of person, I'm not going to teach you. But if I feel that you're the right kind of person, I will teach, and then you have a responsibility, and you have to make this agreement with me. And I say, if I teach you, you have to agree to accept the responsibility for the safety of anybody that's around you. That means that wherever you go, those who are around you are safer because of you and your skills, whether they know it or not. Okay? And that's what I told these young men yesterday. That if you decide to carry, and some train in guns and decide not to carry, that's their decision. But if you do, you accept the responsibility for your own safety, and you accept the responsibility for the safety of everyone around you. That means that if there's an attack coming like this, and you have the ability, meaning you're carrying and you have the ability, and you think you can intercede in a positive way, and you don't do it, well, that's abdicating your responsibility. And so the more people who are out there in the world, with paying attention and with the skills to respond, and this also can go into medical. You know, if you are in the crowd, you may not even be carrying, but you have medical experience, and that truck goes through a crowd, and you are able to respond to some of the injured people before the ambulances get here, because it could take ambulances a long time to get there. And even if it's not a long time, even if it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes, it'll seem like forever when you have people injured and screaming and blood running and people writhing on the ground, and it'll seem like forever. And if you have the skills to be able to help them, and until better medical attention gets there, then you should. So anyway, it's we're in a new year. Happy 2025. I'm not at all surprised this happened. I will be surprised if more of this doesn't happen this year. I think we're moving into a very interesting year, and I suggest everybody be prepared in every way you can think, and not just in case of last night's episode on DoomTube was about the worst that could happen, grid down, and I went into details. Many of you know that I wrote a whole book series on that, the Stonemont series, and I went into detail on that. So it was a success. Great to have all of you who joined us on DoomTube. But I think that this year is very possibly going to be a very interesting year, and I think it's going to be a year that shakes a lot of things out. We're gonna. And when you do that, it's kind of like cleaning house. You're going to run across a lot of things, and you're going to have to take out the trash, and you're going to have to sweep out the rooms and deal with things, right? So make sure that you're prepared to deal with things. So Happy New Year, and as we always say, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Shot placement is everything, especially if you put several shots in the right place. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.